This is the High School Football America podcast for November 27th, 2019. I'm Jeff Fisher, and happy Thanksgiving, everyone. All right, we're going to talk a little turkey from the nation's capital, District of Columbia, D.C. Interscholastic Athletic Association Championship on the line in the 50th Annual Turkey Bowl. And we're going right to the source, a guy that's been doing a lot of great coverage all year long. We've been retweeting him on our Twitter account. His name is Chris Dunlap. He is the founder, executive producer of That Sports Dude, and he's on the line right now to talk some turkey with us, D.C. style. Welcome to the show, Chris.
Oh, Jeff, man, it is my pleasure to be on, man. I love what you guys do. And as you said, 50th Annual Turkey Bowl, man, I'm excited to be on and talk about it. Let's get it going.
There is nothing better. I'm a Pennsylvania boy, so I grew up watching Turkey Day football. I try to explain to people around the country, if you don't have it in your state, you're missing something completely. So before we get started with the matchup itself between Woodson and Dunbar, let's give the listeners around the nation a little bit of a history lesson here. What is the Turkey Bowl?
So for any of you guys who are listening right now, you may not be too familiar with D.C. high school football. Let me get you in the know right here, right now. So the DCIAA Turkey Bowl is the D.C. Public High School Football Championship game. This game, as Jeff mentioned before, is in its 50th edition. It's played every Thanksgiving. Currently, it's being played at Eastern Senior High School, but in yesteryears, it's been played at RFK Stadium in the 70s and the 80s. It's also been played at Howard University numerous times. But it is one of those events in the District of Columbia, one of those games. Outside of it being a championship game, it is one of those things that brings the city together. I mean, it's been a pillar event in D.C., as you can see, for 50 years, as it will be played this Thursday, tomorrow at 11 a.m. on Thanksgiving morning. It's one of those events that everybody comes out to see, that everybody comes to witness. The great Bob Hedden, a longtime D.C. high school football coach, a legend in our city, he was quoted saying that the DCIAA Turkey Bowl is not only the championship game for the D.C. public high schools, but it is also the D.C. homecoming as a whole. Because, Jeff, man, if you ever seen any videos, any pictures, anything that I posted on my Instagram or on my Twitter account, you can see the crowds. You'll see college alum. You'll see the older generation, the younger generation, all together in support of the student athletes who are playing and just enjoying the camaraderie that comes with being at the DCIAA Turkey Bowl.
Like I said, I love Turkey Day football. Throw the records out, but this one is for a championship. Chris Dunlap is on the line with us tonight on the podcast. You can check him out on his Twitter account. That's at That Sports Dude. But before you do that, you got to put a little underscore there. So it's underscore That Sports Dude. And when you hit me up and said, hey Jeff, we need to promote this a little bit. You dropped some big names there about some of the guys that have played in the DCIA Turkey Bowl. Why don't you give a little list there? I don't want to steal your thunder, but there's some good names on that list.
Oh, no doubt about it, man. I'm so glad that you went here. I was excited to talk about this for sure. So I'll start here and kind of, if I may, kind of merge and kind of compare the Turkey Bowl and the Turkey Bowl and the Super Bowl real quick.
Oh, hey, that sounds like a plan. Absolutely.
So first thing I'll say, the DCIAA Turkey Bowl, as it will be in its 50th edition this Thursday, tomorrow, Thanksgiving morning, that means it is only 4 years younger than the legendary NFL Super Bowl, which is set to be 54 come this February. Isn't that incredible, Jeff?
Oh, it is. Go ahead. Come on. I can't wait till you tie this together.
Yes. So now, the way I tie this together is, as I said, the Turkey Bowl is only 4 years younger than the Super Bowl. There are 4 players who have won the Turkey Bowl and have won the Super Bowl.
Oh, sweet.
Let me name them for you real quick. Former Indianapolis Colts linebacker Cato June was a part of the 2006 Indianapolis Colts championship-winning, Super Bowl-winning football team. Now, what a lot of people don't know is that Cato June also played for the Anacostia High School Indians and led them to a Turkey Bowl championship in 1995. How incredible is that?
Very cool. You got some more, though. Three more, right?
Absolutely. So the next one, we have longtime NFL quarterback and current Arizona Cardinals offensive coordinator Byron Leftwich. He was a part of the Pittsburgh Steelers Super Bowl team a few years back, and he also led H.D. Woodson to a Turkey Bowl championship back in 1997 against Cato June and the Anacostia Indians that year. So that's another name who has won a Turkey Bowl and a Super Bowl. Now, the next two, we have, and this is a name that is synonymous when you talk about DCIAA, DC Public High School football, Marvin Austin. He was one of the top, probably the top premier player in 2006 coming out of Ballou High School as he led his team to a Turkey Bowl title and then was a part of the New York Giants team that beat the Patriots back in 2012, I believe. He was a part of that. He was a part of that organization. So he is another one who has won a Turkey Bowl and a Super Bowl. Now, the last name, and I saved, in my opinion, the best for last. Now, as we're talking about DC high school football, so this name should not surprise anybody, as he is a Dunbar senior high school alum, and also he is a current Washington Redskins tight end. Talking about Vernon Davis. Yes, Mr. Vernon Davis is a Turkey Bowl champ, as he was a member of that Dunbar just dominance in the early 2000s. He won a Turkey Bowl in the year 2000, and he also was a part of the Denver Broncos championship winning team about 5 or 6 years ago. So Vernon Davis is also another name who has won a Turkey Bowl and a Super Bowl. And one more thing about Vernon's Turkey Bowl win, if I may kind of tie again the NFL Super Bowl and the Turkey Bowl. In the 2000 DCIAA Turkey Bowl, Vernon Davis caught a touchdown pass in the second half of that game. Can you guess who his quarterback was? I'll give you one guess.
Go ahead. I can't guess that. Hit me with it, Chris.
Joshua Cribbs, former All-Pro kick returner for the Cleveland Browns, was Vernon's quarterback at Dunbar in that game, and those two hooked up for a Turkey Bowl championship touchdodown pass.
Well, what you're educating the audience on is how good DC Public League football is.
Absolutely. And that stat right there, that nugget right there, is one of the reasons that the DCIAA Turkey Bowl is such a huge event, and why this Turkey Bowl 50 is going to be one of the biggest sporting events in DC history, in my opinion.
Woodson versus Dunbar. We're going to get to the game in a second, although I have to educate you now that you educated me and our listeners.
Absolutely.
Did you know there's never been a Super Bowl played without an alum of the Big 33 All-Star Game played in Hershey, Pennsylvania for the most part since the late 90s? Did you know that one?
No, I didn't know that one, but you know something that I've just learned?
What's that?
That you guys up in Pennsylvania, you guys produce some dynamite athletes, if I may say so myself.
Well, thank you. We do. We're very proud of it. Chris Dunlap, that sports dude from That Sports Dude Network. You can follow him on Twitter, _That Sports Dude. We'll let him at the end here give you a little bit more of time to promote what you do down there. But I have one more thing before we get into that, because you're just talking about all the public school. I think what you're really educating people on more than anything, we know the St. John's of the world, right? We know the Gonzagas. They've been in the High School Football America 100 for several years running now, going back to 2013. But overall, what you're talking about is the strength there. So why don't you do that little kind of put on your Chamber of Commerce hat and tell people how good the overall structure is there in D.C. when it comes to public league football.
Now, when we're talking about public school football, you can look up and down collegiate rosters and NFL rosters, and you'll see a plethora of names that have come from Washington, D.C. And, of course, like you said, we know about the Gonzagas. We know about the good councils and the such. But when we're talking about the public schools, oh, my goodness, I can just run off 4 or 5 names right now of collegiate players who came out of D.C. public schools who are just dominating in collegiate football right now. First name I mentioned, Jalen Twyman. He is the ACC sack leader, defensive tackle for Pitt University. Just a dominant force on that defensive line for them. And during his time at H.D. Woodson, just as dominant. Actually, in his junior year, he led the league with 11 sacks that year. So he's one name who I'm for sure expecting, once he decides to declare for the draft, to be one of those top 2-round draft picks. Another name, Parnell Motley, cornerback for the Oklahoma Sooners. During his time in D.C. public school football, he was from the first time that kid stepped on the field, he was an impact player. Was a 3-year starter, all Met, all league, all metropolitan area player. I mean, so to see him go off and to Oklahoma and dominate, win the starting job, and then be one of the top defensive backs in the country, not surprising there. Another player who we saw briefly at Virginia Tech and now is at Maryland, former Wilson Public High School receiver Sean Savoy. During his time at Wilson, he was one of those young men who, anytime he got the ball in his hands, look out, because Sean was going to make some things happen. Like, what is the old adage that they use, Jeff? If he's even, he's leaving. And that describes Sean Savoy to a T. And as we saw him last year at Virginia Tech, dominating as a freshman, and also now at Maryland University doing his thing. And then we look at some NFL rosters. I mentioned a few guys who have come through not only the Turkey Bowl, but through DCIAA as a whole. I mentioned a few more. I mentioned Vernon Davis. Can't forget about his brother, Vontae Davis, who was a former Pro Bowl and All-Pro cornerback. I mentioned Josh Cribbs, All-Pro kick returner. And just so on and so forth. Just so many names. That can be an entire podcast within itself, Jeff.
You've got some talent coming out of D.C., no doubt about it. Chris Dunlap talking D.C. football, a guy that I've grown to appreciate this year on social media. He does a great job down there. That Sports Dude Network. You can follow him on Twitter at _That Sports Dude. So let's get into it. Woodson, a big name. I mentioned it at the top. They don't mind going around outside of the D.C. area to try and get some of that good non-league competition to get them ready for going after championships in D.C. Dunbar, another big name out of that area. Kind of size up the matchup for us going into a half a century of Turkey Bowls.
Absolutely. So the one thing about this H.D. Woodson versus Dunbar Turkey Bowl 50 matchup, it is a battle of D.C. public high school football heavyweights. These two programs, Dunbar and H.D. Woodson, are atop the Turkey Bowl wins list. H.D. Woodson leads the pack as they are the defending Turkey Bowl champions. They lead the pack with 16 overall Turkey Bowl championship wins. And then right there on their heels is Dunbar High School with 10 Turkey Bowl championship wins. At one point in time, Jeff, before the realignment of D.C. Public High School Football League, these two programs only met when it was for all the marbles, whether that be in the playoffs or the 7 previous times they've met in the DCIAA Turkey Bowl championship game. So one thing about this Dunbar and HD matchup, it is a long-standing rivalry, and I'm so glad to see that these two teams have rose to the top of the DC Public High School division and are playing for the Turkey Bowl title. I mean, it's kind of it writes itself when you talk about a storybook type of matchup.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And then you've got the matchup in the regular season, won by Dunbar. That puts a little bit more hot sauce on this matchup, I would say. Give me your handicap on this. What's this game look like on the field itself come tomorrow?
Absolutely. So these two teams, they split their matchups, and the games were completely different. So I'll start with Dunbar, as they are the number 1 seed, and then I'll go to H.D. Woodson. So for Dunbar, when Dunbar's offense is on the field, one thing is going to happen, and that's a high-powered passing game. Let me tell you, their junior quarterback, Coach Maurice Vaughn, has given his junior quarterback the keys to this Dunbar Crimson Tide Lamborghini, and this kid is driving 180 miles per hour on the interstate, Jeff. Let me tell you about it. 2,100 yards, 21 touchdowns. This kid can make every throw known to high school football. Let me tell you. In the first matchup against H.D. Woodson, he threw 3 scores, 2 in the first half, and he added on another touchdown pass in the second half, and then a rushing touchdown to cap off an outstanding performance as Dunbar did defeat H.D. Woodson 24-14 in that first matchup. And just from there, the kid has just had a dominant season. He was named TSDN, that Sports Dude Network's in league MVP. And as I went down his stats, he definitely is deserving of that honor. Now, it's not just Amonte Dreyer, who is just out balling out. We got his receiving core. A quarterback can't do it without a receiving core. Am I right, Jeff?
Oh, you need some help.
Absolutely. So his 2 leading receivers. We'll start with the DCIAA Stars Division leading receiver, Jamari Armstrong. Now, this kid, when you see his stature, you wouldn't expect this kid to have the type of numbers that he has, but he kind of reminds me of a Washington Redskins receiver, back in the mid to late 2000s, Santana Moss. Another guy that when you think about the old adage, if he's even, he's leaving, that describes Jamari Armstrong to a T. It was a play against H.D. Woodson in that first matchup. He caught a hitch pass, a screen pass, got a couple blockers, and went 65 yards like it was absolutely nothing. In a blink of an eye, the kid was in the end zone. I was like, oh, my goodness. Kid got lightning speed. So this Dunbar receiving core, all of their receivers are among the league leaders. Even one of their receivers, who unfortunately got hurt early in the season, Tahir Chase, he was among the league leaders as well. So this Dunbar offense is high-powered and definitely can put points on the board and put points on the board in a hurry. But on the flip side of that, if I may talk about their weaknesses, right now, Dunbar hasn't played their best football as of late. If we go back to the second matchup between H.D. Woodson and Dunbar, which was an unbelievable 4-overtime defensive battle. I mean, it was unbelievable. So H.D. Woodson was able to shut out Dunbar. Dunbar didn't get into the end zone. And if we look back over the last 2 weeks, Dunbar has only scored 1 offensive touchdown in these last 2 weeks leading up to, this Turkey Bowl 50. So if I have to talk about a weakness, I would say that Dunbar just may not be playing their best football right now. My worry is that they may have peaked too early, and you know how that can spell trouble for a football team peaking at the wrong time, especially when we get down to championship time.
Yeah, no doubt.
So that's Dunbar. So now let's transition over to H.D. Woodson. H.D. Woodson's strength, it is simple as this. Defense. Defense.
Well done.
This H.D. Woodson defense is simple as this. Dominant. Since that loss to Dunbar, since that 24-14 loss to Dunbar, H.D. Woodson has only given up 18 total points, and that loss to Dunbar was on October 4th. So they've only given up 18 points in a month.
That's not bad.
That is not bad at all. And it's kind of not surprising, especially coming into this season. H.D. Woodson has D1 talent at each level of their defense. We'll start with the defensive line. The 2018 Defensive Player of the Year and Old Dominion University commit Keyshawn Hunter, who kind of mans that defensive line front for H.D. Woodson. We'll go to the linebacker level. Number 3 linebacker, senior linebacker, Ahmad McDuffie, who early in the season, before, battling some injury, was averaging 19 tackles a game. So this kid was all over the field, a sideline linebacker. And then we'll go to the defensive. We'll go to the secondary. They feature 2 D1 prospects. Number 16, Kevon Hunter, who is one of those safeties who's just racking up the offers all the way back to his sophomore year where the offer started to roll in for him. And then we have East Carolina commit Sean Tucker at the corner, a shutdown corner in his own right. So this H.D. Woodson defense can definitely shut down any team, as they actually did to Dunbar in that 4-overtime matchup that they had that H.D. Woodson won. And if I may, another thing about H.D. Woodson, Jeff, when it comes down to championship time, when we get to this November time, when we get to this Turkey Bowl championship time, this is when the H.D. Woodson Warriors play their best football. I mean, you don't win 5 of the last 6 Turkey Bowl championships and not play your best football in November. So this H.D. Woodson team can definitely hang with this Dunbar offense. And, Jeff, without a shadow of a doubt, it is going to be a heavyweight bout for the ages. And
you're going to be there to enjoy it, no doubt about it. Chris Dunlap, that's Sports Dude, that's Sports Dude Network. Hey, before we give you a little chance here to prop yourself up and tell people how they can follow you, I got to ask you, who you got?
Well, in this one, Jeff, oh, man, it's going to be an evenly matched game. But if I have to pick a team, I'll stick with the prediction that I made early this season, where I picked H.D. Woodson to win the DCIAA Turkey Bowl 50. So I'll stick with that preseason prediction that I made. It just kind of goes down to this. A great defense beats a great offense.
Defense wins championships.
That I am in. Absolutely. I'm one of those guys. I'm a student of the game of football, and you can't beat me if you can't score. So I believe that H.D. Woodson will defeat Dunbar, but no doubt about this, let's not sleep on this Dunbar Crimson Tide football program. They are definitely a viable opponent to this H.D. Woodson program.
Well, Chris, you've done a great job letting people around the nation know not only about this big 50th annual Turkey Bowl, but DC football in general. So let's give you a little chance here to, again, put on that Chamber of Commerce hat, but this time to promote yourself. How can people keep up with you and learn what you do? Is it just football, or do you go all sports?
Well, right now, our flagship sport is football, but actually soon we're going to be picking up basketball. And in the future, our plans as a network is to cover every public school sport that there is. So we want to go into baseball, we want to go into soccer, we want to go into volleyball, and etc. I'll go at TSDN, which is where you guys can see every game, all the full game broadcasts, all the highlight broadcasts. Shows and interviews with players and coaches. You guys can go on YouTube to That Sports Dude Network, also known as TSDN, where you guys can subscribe, and also make sure you guys press the bell so you don't miss any updates. As a network, our goal is to just give exposure to DC public school student athletes, because during my time as a DC public school athlete, for whatever reason, we didn't get the coverage that I feel that we definitely deserve, because, as I mentioned, so many great players has come out of DCIAA and come out of DC public high school sports. So I'm glad that I have an opportunity to give these student athletes what my generation was not able to receive. So that's where you guys can subscribe, That Sports Dude Network, again, on YouTube. Also, you guys can follow me on Twitter at _That Sports Dude. That's where I provide play-by-play, touchdown-by-touchdown, quarter-by-quarter updates, and more of the informative content that I produce. That's where you guys can follow me. And you can also follow me on Instagram at _That Sports Dude _, where I provide video updates and information updates in my Insta story. And also feel free to friend me on Facebook as well at Chris Dunlap, That Sports Dude. Again, I'm all over the place. I'm very accessible. Definitely love to interact with each and every one of you. And also, if anybody just wants information on DC high school sports, don't hesitate to DM me. Don't hesitate to message me. I'm I'm loaded with information, and I love to share it.
Well, you did an awesome job, and that's how you got on the podcast. You hit me up and hit us up on social media, so we appreciate that. Chris Dunlap, happy Thanksgiving. Congratulations. Love your mission of trying to promote the kids there in D.C. Nothing better. It's a fine mission. It's right in lockstep with ours. So, again, happy Thanksgiving, and thanks for joining us.
Jeff, thank you so much, man. I love what you guys do at High School Football America. As you said, right in line with what I'm trying to accomplish here in D.C. So, Jeff, I look forward to being on with you again, my friend.
Okay, take care. Happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving to you too, man.
You can follow the Turkey Bowl live tomorrow from our friends at ScoreStream. All the Turkey Day games, live score updates from ScoreStream at highschoolfootballamerica.com. Just click on Scores in the navigation tab. We also have quite a few previews up there, including the granddaddy of them all, played in Massachusetts, the very first Thanksgiving Day high school football game between Needham and Wellesley. They go at it. Number 132 tomorrow there on the east side of Massachusetts, suburban Boston. It's a fun day. Anybody that's been following me for years knows that, Thanksgiving's a great day to get together and eat and be with family and friends. But Turkey Day football, there is nothing like it. Everyone have a happy Thanksgiving. You've been listening to the High School Football America podcast.